Hi, everyone. We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research together, which happens from time to time. And we're continuing our coverage of Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. Y'all.
For better or worse.
We're fresh from this episode again.
This season has been all about hot takes.
This season has been all about hot takes. We took on board your criticisms that we were taking a little bit longer last year, and also a lot of it is just scheduling, to be honest, because we're busy for the rest of the week. And we needed to get this taken care of. So it is Wednesday in the good old US of A, and the episode dropped this morning, and we just watched it. So we're talking about episode 12, Sacrifice, which I haven't even thought about the symbolism of that episode
I'll think while
title yet. You think while I recap. Because boy, did a lot happen in this episode.
This was a plot heavy.
We're moving things. Well, because they spent 5 episodes
doing feck all.
Just sitting there and
spinning the wheels,
wanking off to their own cinematography.
There was a lot of treading water this season. Yeah.
So now we have to speed things up, which we did a lot in this episode. Some things were awesome, and some things made sense, and some things didn't make sense at all. So we open with June. June's fondling the gun. Apparently, this episode starts immediately after the end of episode 11.
Which it took me a couple seconds to center myself in that, because I was like, wait, time has passed? Time has not passed?
Time has not passed. Literally, Commander Waterford just handed her the gun, walks out of the room.
Lawrence.
That's the one. That's the one. Commander Lawrence hands her the gun, walks out of the room. She is waiting for the guards to come get her.
Yep.
Except they show up, and she thinks they're coming for her, and God bless, it's Eleanor Hulick. June's like holding the gun. It's amazing. I love Eleanor because she's just like, the Marthas need you, and I wouldn't bring the gun.
So in terms of the fact that clearly this entire show loves The Godfather, it was like, leave the gun and take the cannolis.
She's just like, I wouldn't bring that.
I wouldn't bring that.
I wouldn't bring that with you. I love Eleanor.
She's the most authentic person in this entire show.
She's so true to herself. So June goes downstairs to help, where Beth informs her that Billy is very pleased. Billy said yes and will help move the children.
Yeah, but then what we also find out very importantly is that because Beth takes June's face and like moves it around.
Yeah,
and so that's when we realize that like Beth is like celebrating something, but she doesn't have the full story.
Yeah, Beth doesn't know what happened to Winslow. June is really concerned, obviously, that the Guardians are here because of her presence at Jezebel's, which we all talked about. Somebody would have seen June. Somebody would have known her face. She's only the most famous handmaid in Gilead. No, nobody saw her.
Again, guys, we need someone to control the show Bible and have all of these details.
We need some continuity
on a whiteboard.
We need some. So a lot of our subscribers came back at us about surveillance and said, like, Jezebel's is supposed to exist under the state. Maybe they don't have cameras. Cool. Maybe they don't have cameras. Somebody saw her face.
Yeah, and also like what we've been told like throughout the entire thing is that there's cameras like around all the time.
Yeah.
So like maybe she didn't get caught coming out of the back door of Jezebel's, but like at a traffic cam, because like she was just sitting in the car.
Yeah.
Like when Fred first took her to Jezebel's, he had her like laying down. Joseph.
Oh no, Fred. You're talking about like way back. Yeah, way back.
When Fred first took her, she was like laying down in the backseat under a blanket until she was like smuggled into Jezebel.
Yeah.
It's just a continuity issue that we care more about than the showrunners.
Yeah, so we find out June takes the tea in, literally, the literal tea,
and gets the figurative tea.
And gets the figurative tea to get the gossip. We find out that all they know about Winslow is he's disappeared, obvs, because there's no body.
And y'all called it.
And they everyone, shout out to everyone who realized that they would just lump it in with the Waterford's disappearance and assume that Canada was to blame or America was to blame. So
those like sneaky or slippery Americans, I can't remember what word they used, but I was like, damn straight we are.
Yeah, way to go.
Because we're over your bullshit.
Way to go, subscribers that called that out in our comments when we were talking about it and realized that's what everyone would think, because you're right.
You're totally right. Yeah, we didn't connect those dots.
So now Lawrence is trying to pull back the reins on everybody. They're offering him back his position and power,
and potentially Winslow's job,
which also everyone else claimed would happen. So way to go, guys, for being on the ball.
I was just so distracted by Bradley Whitford owning the room.
Owning everything. So much Bradley Whitford in this.
Bradley Whitford joy.
And he's trying to stop, the Third World War or the Fourth or whatever from happening, because all of these guys are like guns ablazing to Canada, and he's still trying to, keep
Be a
this
diplomat.
secret operation going. So Lawrence, you know, is like, you're off the hook for now, or off the wall. No. Whoever's writing Bradley Whitford, I hope it's Bradley Whitford.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just like improvising some of this stuff because man, it was a gem. It
just sounds like him too.
It just sounds like him.
I think he could I could have my eyes closed and Bradley Whitford would deliver dialogue, and anywhere in the world I would know it was his voice because he has such a specific Josh Lyman cadence.
Yeah. So, you know, he says Fred and Serena are toast.
Yeah.
And you got away with murder. So,
not shabby for a morning.
Not shabby for a morning. Amazing. So a really important scene with June at the end of this where she like realizes that Fred and Serena are gone and that they are going to face trial as war criminals. And it was a super satisfying moment.
There was a couple really great June moments in this episode and a couple truly puzzling ones.
That was a really good one. So we shift then, next scene, Lives and Fishes, and we get our promised reunion between June and Rita. June has some things to say to Alma about, you know, organizing the Mayday operation. Yeah. Cool, but the real meat of this scene
is the scene with Rita.
And it was so beautiful. And you realize that, like, this is June's only friend left in Gilead.
And the only one who touches her with kindness.
The only other person who, like, loves her as her. And so it was so great to see them. And she was like, oh my God, did you see what happened? I heard what happened. Did you hear what happened? Sharing the goss over the root vegetables. And that was just really amazing. And then she said, you know, whatever you're doing, I'm in, this is your plan. And like holds her hand. And like, we don't think about how, and they zoom in on a lot of things in the show. They over zoom as far as I'm concerned, but this was a very important zoom to zoom in on the hands touching because there's not touching out of kindness in Gilead ever.
Yeah. And the thing too that really struck me about that scene was that, like, we've complained a lot about people thinking that June is amazing when she's not. But like Rita is the only one who really truly gets away with saying like she's proud of her.
I'm proud of you,
Because like Rita knows. Like Rita's been there with eyebrows. Rita's been there. Rita was there through Nicole. Like Rita was there. And so Rita knows not the public off Fred, off Joseph, off whoever the hell.
Yeah.
She knows June. And that was a really special, that's why I think Elizabeth Moss broke and let herself cry a little bit in that scene, which was gorgeous face work of like, she's been seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you're the boss now. I'm so proud of you.
Yep.
And like, especially because she's come through this horrible period of losing Hannah and her reconciling her treatment of Natalie and all of this stuff. I feel like she's earned this boss position now as opposed to when she thought she'd earned it 5 episodes ago.
Yeah, she's earned it instead of taking it.
Yeah, she just kind of took it and was like, I'm in charge of Mayday now. But now she's like, she's done the work. She's earned it. And then we go to Canada. And we literally, kids, we paused the computer with
Fred Waterford
we come
in
back
jail.
From commercial and Fred Waterford is in jail. I mean, it's a cushy war criminal jail, but I don't care.
Jail.
He is confined to a room and he no longer has his freedom and autonomy.
I'll take it.
And I was delighted. So Serena comes to visit him and I mean, they both earned Emmys as far as I'm concerned with what they did in this scene. Fred is super panicked, super worried until she says, you don't need to worry about me anymore. I'll be fine.
And we like, as she was doing the beginning, we were both looking at each other being like, so how much of it, like, what's the play here, Serena?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And then as soon as she said that, we were both like, oh, the shoe has dropped.
And you could see his face. You could see his face change. And then he realizes, like, everything she's done to get him to Canada.
Yeah.
She knew all along.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm not sorry, Fred Waterford. You constantly underestimated your wife.
This was all about you. I was like, yes, she built an entire system
she built this
for her empty womb.
About her lack of motherhood.
How are you continually so stupid?
How are you this stupid? And continues to be this stupid about Serena later in the episode.
Oh
it was unreal.
Guys, like, ugh.
So he chokes Serena, which was a little upsetting. But like, you know what?
The threshold of terror in this show, I'd like checked. So I think low. I was like checking Twitter.
I know. I was like, okay. Her throat's gonna be sore later.
Sad. Just don't kill her because I want Yvonne Strahovski around for a little while longer.
Oh, she was so good. For the tiny bits we got of her in this episode. We go back to the Lawrences. Mm-hmm. Clearly, those are our 2 locations for this episode. And June is helping, blessed Mrs. Lawrence. We love Eleanor. Apparently Mrs. Winslow has shown up, and that other woman, I can't remember her.
The one, Janine's
child's
mom, kidnapper.
I know we've had their name.
Of Warren's wife.
Warren, yeah. Whatever.
I don't care.
Whatever. I forget his last name. Putnam. Mrs. Putnam.
And whenever Elizabeth Reeser shows up, I flash to that, like, she's the Twilight mom.
I know.
So I'm just like hearing Christina Perri in my head.
Yeah.
I have died every day waiting for you. Okay.
She was terrible in those movies.
Guys, everybody was.
She's not great in this either, but
she's great. She tries though, bless her.
Bless her. She's still getting acting.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, because I think her best role was when she was laying in a hospital bed with Alex Karev. Like, it didn't require a whole lot of her.
You're best when you're unconscious, but since you have to be conscious for this
work
scene,
with this a little bit more. No, I mean, that's all very rude, and we're joking.
We're joking aside. They're there because obviously they don't know what happens to Commander Winslow.
And every time she says, "My children," we both scream, "They're not your children." Like,
and
it's the new reaction.
Apparently it was even too much for Eleanor because she snorts.
Yeah.
And goes, "Your children."
Yeah.
Which was amazing, but also sad because we are starting to see the
effects of her coming down.
The effects of her not having the medication.
Yeah.
So she slips up a lot in this prayer meeting.
Yeah.
She starts to talk about saving all the children, and
June has a panic attack.
We don't know. I mean, they've got a short window. They've got a week, so hopefully not a lot can happen in a week, but Mrs. Putnam is already suspicious.
Yeah, she's making faces.
Because she was making faces when they tried to go see Hannah. So I don't know what's going to come of that. They're probably not going to address it at all because they've only got one more episode left.
And they don't address it in this episode.
And they don't address it in this episode. Back in Canada, we see Moira and Luke and Holly, stroke Nicole, going to visit the Waterfords in prison. Everyone's a little upset.
Everyone's a little tense.
Everyone's a little on edge. Perhaps one of the better scenes of this season when Moira brings Holly in to see delusional Serena.
Oh my God, that was gorgeous.
And names everything for what it was. I am June's friend. This is June's baby. You were the woman who held my friend down while your husband raped her. And oh, by the way, he raped me too. Please don't touch the baby. She's not yours. God bless.
Yeah, you don't know how to take care of her. I put her diapers. If she gets fussy.
Yeah.
And then the
Serena,
social services woman.
Stupid Serena's like, oh, she'll be fine. I'm her mother.
What are you doing?
You're not her mother.
I love the social services woman that was like, it's stranger anxiety. Please don't use that word. It confuses her.
Yeah,
I was like,
I loved the countdown clock.
I want that woman's job just so I can throw shade at delusional Gileadians.
But what I would really like to do is in this fictitious world in which you and I become extras, I would like my sign to say, you are the gender traitor, because that was amazing.
It's a great line.
That was the mic drop line for Moira. Like, sure, whatever, you get an hour with this baby because you handed over your husband, but you're the gender traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it sticks with Serena,
it won't.
Only time will tell. Lawrence is starting to panic a little bit about all of the extreme pressure coming from the commanders that want to close the border. They want to amp up security. They want to attack Canada, whatever. He tries to tell her, you need to move up the deadline on the plane. And she's like, lol.
It's not my show.
It's not my show. I can't do that. And Mrs. Lawrence tries to leave because she's decided now they're going to save all the children.
That was a great reminder to all of us that June actually doesn't have any mental health training.
Because she snaps.
And
she snaps.
It was, and that was the last, I think that might be the last scene I understood in this episode.
I think so, because after that, I didn't really know what was happening.
After that, it went off the rails a little bit, because now when we go back to... Now we go back to
Canada. Now we go back to Canada, and Dr. Donnelly and I both have a lot of problems with the scene that happened between Waterford and Luke. A whole lot of problems. It was hinted at in the previews. We were so excited. I was like, yeah. He
doesn't though.
Verbally punch Fred Waterford.
Nothing.
Nope. He sits there. He gets a little teary-eyed.
And then he physically assaults a war criminal. As though that is going to go well for the long game here. So a couple things.
Yeah, I have so many problems with this.
I'm just going to run down the problems real quick that we noticed. Can't wait to hear your problems because we are confident you're going to have them too.
Mm-hmm.
One is that he says, he opens his opening salvo to Fred is that they are like the same person.
We grew up the same.
No, you didn't. Fred Waterford grew up a white man in America, and you grew up a black / potentially mixed race man in America, since we haven't really gotten clarity on that.
Yeah. And I know we haven't talked a lot about race since our special video, because every point we made in that video pretty much
just keeps happening.
Stands. But this is one where I was like,
this would have been a good intro. And what I think they did was when they had Luke say, I went to good schools, they thought like, oh, we're breaking the stereotype.
We're knocking down stereotypes. And I'm like,
and then,
even if he was a wealthy mixed race or black man in America, he was still a black man in America. And he does not seem to be aware of his blackness, which
he's very OJ about this.
He's like, this would have been a great time, I think, to start a conversation about race and say, like, how do you think it felt for me, for you to do this? I brought my whole notebook of all the horrible things you've done.
With like a 1980s edition
Trapper Keeper. I wish it was a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. That would have been amazing.
Would have also gone for some, like, if we were updating, it could have been an Iron Man Trapper Keeper.
Transformers.
Captain America.
My brother had a Transformers Trapper Keeper. So good.
I now need all of my school supplies to be covered in Captain America. Anyway, so
digress.
My real, I mean, clearly I have problems with the race, but my, like, where my little brain went, was when he said we were both men of faith. Guys.
What was the point of that line? Anybody?
Couple things. One, by saying that and then not following up on it, he gave Fred back the power in the room, which he didn't need to do.
Yep.
Also, the baptism scene that we lived through a couple episodes ago, the show made us think it was June who did that.
The show told us it was June.
And yet, clearly, it was Luke. If he thought that was some sort of, like, open, like, what that demonstrated to me is that even though Luke had done all this research on Waterford and had been, like, ruminating on this dude for at least probably 3 years, I think is what we're supposed to believe in the show, like, he knew nothing about him. He came in completely unprepared, half-cocked, nothing. So, and then when Waterford says, well, I saved people, and, like, whatever, he snaps back. And then he says, well, what did you do? Let me tell you the opening that could have been.
Yeah.
Instead, Luke says, I did nothing, which is not true, because Luke didn't rape or enslave people.
Right.
But what Luke easily, if you are such a man of faith, if that's the point you're going to open, say, like, I followed scripture.
Yeah.
I practiced hospitality.
Yeah.
Pick a thing.
I loved my neighbors.
Yeah.
Like,
I treated my wife with dignity and respect. I raised my child in the way that she should go. You have 66 books of a Protestant canon to throw at him.
He throws nothing. And then
he crumbles.
And then Fred says, gives him another, like, softballs for me. Softballs a line and says, Gilead's changed your wife. I've changed your wife. Yeah, stand up for June. Say, yes, you've changed her. You raped her. You enslaved her.
And then you stole her
children from her. Yeah, of course she's not the same woman she was 5 years ago. She's been a slave for 5 years.
She's going to come back to me, and we're going to figure this out together, because that's what love is. You,
like, perverted.
Guys, like, the entire English language at their disposal. Entire English language. And they went with Luke punching him in the face.
Luke punching him in the face. So then what? Now he's an angry black man trope again.
And we have this whole setup, and the one time narratively where we also could have had payoff with Waterford.
Yeah.
Until the Hague trial, in which we will be extras.
Yes. Nothing.
It was just so, which then to me is like, okay, we're back to lazy writing. We're back to, like, okay, all of these rich opportunities that you gave us with these characters that are multi-layered. Like, you walk into a room with a guy smart enough and malicious enough and manipulative enough to overtake a government.
And you brought receipts.
Like, he had the receipts.
And you sat there and started crying.
Like, guys, I mean, he clearly, I mean, he's very emotional. It's a very hard thing, but, like, he's been preparing to meet Waterford since at least that scene in the limo from last season.
Yeah.
That's what we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
So, like,
and I get that he was upset, and I get that he was anxious, and I'm not saying I would have been super great in that scenario. I probably wouldn't have even gone because I'm so afraid of confrontation.
I would have been better in that snenario.
She would have been a lot better in that scenario. I would have thought of all of these clever things to say, like, 2 days later, because
I never
a lot
fight
of process things.
Because that man built and destroyed worlds with his words. You have to come at him with words.
With words.
You never come at him with fists.
With violence. Fred Waterford won that whole
scenario.
Exchange.
Whole scenario.
And, like, I you know, all of those things I understand about him, but I am watching this show because it is fiction. So you could have given me a Luke Bankhole that would have acted a way I would have wanted to act.
You could have given us a little bit of audience surrogacy because you've done it before.
Yeah.
So like this could have been a really, it's just, they don't know what to do with Luke, I think so much. And I don't even understand why they kept him. If you don't know what to do with the character, like have him die in the raid or like come up with something. If you don't know what to do with this dude, because he's a really seminal, the way you have set up this narrative is that Luke's a really seminal linchpin, but then you treat him like an also-ran. I don't.
Yeah.
And guys, the episode does not get any better from there for us, narratively or dramaturgically.
I was waiting for this episode. I was waiting for that scene.
We were giddy the first couple minutes. We really were.
I was waiting for that scene, and I just felt like I was a balloon that somebody had stuck a pin in.
Yep, and we both just deflated. Yep.
So we go back to the Lawrences and come to find out Eleanor has OD'd on what pills she had left. I didn't think she had any pills left because I thought they said they couldn't get her any more medication.
The quick like shot, it was a lot of different kinds of pills. So like my guess was it was like everything in the medicine cabinet.
Everything she had left. June finds her. She's still breathing.
But not going to come out of it. Not
conscious. Doesn't appear to be conscious. And we see our June hesitate. And it took us a while to figure out what she was doing. She runs like she's going to go tell someone. And then she stops herself. And she decides to close the door. And I don't know if she's thinking strategically, like
we don't know. We
can't bring the Guardians into this house. We don't know. I decide it's compassion, I think, because she goes and she realizes this must be what this woman wanted, even though we can have a whole discussion about consent and agency when you're bipolar,
and unmedicated. Careful. We believe yes. Yeah,
unmedicated
or
bipolar.
In withdrawal, even worse.
Yeah. So very complicated mental health situation, which again, Arjun is not trained or qualified to handle, decides to let Eleanor die and leaves as if she wasn't there. And so, I mean, I just wrote down Gilead takes another life.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, that's what it's about. Like, was there a good solution in that scenario? Probably not. But narratively, did it need to happen? I don't understand. So this is one of those things where like, okay, it's either setting something up we're going to find out or it's lazy writing. And I am leaning towards lazy writing.
And this is a hot take. Again, just a reminder, we literally just watched this episode like an hour ago. So I might think of something in 3 days, but I don't think I will.
Because there's a lot of things that you can do with somebody who has a character you set up like Eleanor. And they chose to go the route of having her unravel and take her own life, which is another very, very stereotypical response that narratives take of people with mental health.
And we all wanted to see her get out too, right? Like we all wanted to see her get on that plane. We all wanted to see her go get some help.
I think like that was the thing. So I am a person who's very medicated on the reg. If I've never said that before. So I have really, 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 I mean, like off the charts anxiety. And Aaron is a long suffering friend. I would not be good without my meds. The times in my life I've gone off of my medication and not been in therapeutic care have not been good. They've not been great. And there were definitely times where, I mean, for sure, like I don't know a whole lot of people who are as unbalanced as we are led to believe Eleanor is, who haven't just a couple times been like, you know what, fuck it, let me just swallow all of these. Because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Your brain is your own enemy. And you know logically that your brain is a liar, but you can't control it.
And she realized that, like, I think obviously we were led to believe in that scene where June kind of like snapped at her. Yeah. She realized, oh, right.
This is never, and I'm
she
never
had a moment of lucidity. And he said, like, we can, when Joseph said to her, like, think of the life we can have. And she said something,
you can do that. Like,
can we really do that? And I think maybe she realized she can't. She's never going to have that life.
Or she can't even dream past it. Like, she can't get past.
Or she thought she was too much of a liability.
All of those things are possible.
I don't know.
All of those things are possible, for sure. It just really hit me in one of my intersections that this show doesn't treat well. It hit me as, man, there's other stories we could have told.
Yeah, and I don't know that it needed to happen in this episode.
It did not.
It felt so disjointed in this episode.
And then when we go to her funeral and we have Lawrence and June share that kind of look in that moment, it's like, okay, was this supposed to bring them closer? Because I don't love that dead wife is what bonds them. Yeah. Like, you're already playing around with the gender dynamic between the two of them a little too much for my comfort level based on the power dynamic.
Yeah.
And I get that the two of them are like besties in real life and they have natural chemistry and they've been friends for 20 years. I get all of that. But the writers are going directions that writers or editors or directors, somebody is going directions with that relationship that like, did you need to get his wife out of the way?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Like with his wife out of the way is now June is completely, now he will let June have complete power over his life choices. Like what? And then we see in the preview that that's certainly not what happens. Like I'm even more confused about her death when we see the preview for episode 13.
Yeah, because my thought was like, right, so he's gonna, they felt like they needed to do this, they being the writers,
yep,
so that he would not back out of this plan no matter what, because in respect to Eleanor's dying wish of saving the children, he's gonna follow through with this plan and he's gonna support June in whatever way he can.
I mean, like the whole time that we were watching June watch Eleanor die, the two of us were like, okay, so what does Lawrence do?
We
like,
had a whole conversation.
All
we had
the
a
scenarios.
conversation. There was a lot of silence.
There was so much silence at the end of this episode.
We wrap up weirdly in Canada too with Serena and hot Canadian guy, who we realize may also be hot American guy.
We're unclear.
We're not sure, but we're just gonna
hot
call
guy
him
from Parenthood is all I got. So.
Yeah, so we'll just call him hot guy now because
we're gonna shorthand.
We're gonna shorthand because we're not sure where he's from. But he's like clearly like buttering her up. Hopefully she can like help take down Gilead. Like
he's the only person that addresses her intelligence.
Like he brings her newspapers.
He asks for her opinion.
I'd like your opinion on this article on media bias. Here's some pizza. Like he defends her to Fred and is like, you underestimate your wife's intelligence.
Yeah, like
she's smarter than you.
And again, that's another time. Like, what are you guys doing with this person?
What are you doing with him? What are we doing with Serena? We wondered if maybe halfway through writing this episode was when they got the news that they were going to have a season 4. So they were like, we need to start extending
let's
some of
pull back some of those resolutions.
Plot lines. So yeah, we're not sure. The episode ends with the funeral. June clearly cares for or cared for Mrs. Lawrence.
Yeah, and like, what if my like nervous comments a couple minutes ago make me like I think that the show wants them to like fall in love. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's
just we're not sure what they're doing.
We're not sure what they're doing with that dynamic, and I don't. But even more concernedly, I think they're letting the actors' chemistry drive that dynamic, and it's not strategically done within the narrative. So that's my nervousness.
Yeah.
That's my nervousness.
So we get our compassionate June in this episode, which is nice. And then it ends with a close-up of her face. What are we supposed to get out of that? I don't know.
With her angry eyes. It's like Mrs. Potato Head packed her angry eyes.
So like, cool. She's determined. She's good. Of course she is. Like, why did you need to show us that? I think they could have ended it with just the two of them standing at the grave. That would have been beautiful. Like, pan out, use the drone that you bought that you love so much, drone on out of that shot. Why it needed to be another close-up of angry June eyes. We know she's angry. We know she's determined. We know she's the godfather.
I found it interesting too, costume-wise. I don't think we've seen her in full black. Because the dead handmaids and the hangings and everything else, they don't wear mourning clothes. So have we seen them?
See them in black and something else, I thought.
It was arresting though to me, like visually arresting. I was like, oh, because we're allowed to mourn dead commanders' wives.
We did. We saw them in black for all of the handmaids that died in the bombing.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, and they all stood around the caskets in black and everything, and they pretended like it wasn't a suicide bombing.
That's right. Okay.
But it is very arresting, I agree.
Yeah, because it wasn't that way for any of the lynchings.
Right. Yeah, because those people are heretics and they deserve to die. Really hilarious in a sarcastic way that they were like, we couldn't help her with her problems, whatever Commander Putnam said, where I was like, you mean when you gave her herbal tea instead of meds?
Herbal tea for a chemical imbalance. Thanks so much for your compassion, Gilead.
Cool.
You're the best.
So it's a weird episode. They're clearly trying to redeem Serena. Luke has no awareness of his race.
Yeah, they want Serena and June to be like the besties of liberation by the end of the show, I think, and that's going to be real problematic.
raise your hand out there. I can't see you raise your hand, but tell us in the comments if you have any empathy for Serena.
I have more empathy for her than Dr. Hinson has. I still don't want it. I don't want season 4 to be her redemptive narrative.
Yeah, and obviously I have empathy for her. I understand, but does that mean I want to see her succeed in this narrative? No. Not right now.
No. Yeah, I
have empathy for her, but also, you dig the grave, you lie in it. I'd like to see her lie in it for a little while longer before she gets pulled out and heroicized.
Yeah.
If that's where they're going. I don't know. But I hope,
Yeah.
I don't know. Especially because Fred's still just being smarmy, and maybe I would have felt more empathy for her if they had given Luke a better handling of Fred. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just see Fred as fundamentally himself at all times.
Yeah, but Luke could have made us feel better about that scene, and they didn't give us that.
Oh, that's true. But I've separated them, so I don't think that would have done anything for me vis-a-vis Serena. But who knows? Guys, so many thoughts.
We watched the preview for the next episode. It is clearly the escape or the attempted escape. We don't know.
Operation Mayday is happening.
Operation Mayday is going down. June is at the reins. Commander June of this operation.
Yep.
And it's the season finale.
It's the season finale. And warning you guys now, with some schedules, it's not going to be as hot of a take. So just put on your patience pants.
Gird your loins, American viewers. We know that we're
we'll be in time for the Canadian and British viewers, but we won't be quite immediate. This is not us not loving you.
This is not us not wanting to watch it and not talk about it. We want to do all of those things.
There's some schedule situations. Also, as we've mentioned in episodes before, after this is all done, we'll do the recap of the whole season, and so that we can talk about all the threads together. So that then between now and next summer, we can all continue to conspiracy theorize.
And do a big
picture view as to what we think this season was trying to say.
But I think, shout out as always to everybody who comments. With some really good conversations.
As always.
And some hilariousness from some of our
your wit and witticism is just giving us
love
life.
all the snark and the sass that we're getting. Keep bringing it. We give you sass. We want sass back.
We run on sass.
We are powered by, it's like the Energizer Bunny.
We're powered by hope and sass.
Those are my two batteries, hope and sass.
Hope and sass. We may have an opening in our schedule in terms of what we review next. We're tossing around some ideas. So if you've got a show that you'd like us to see, we have decided not to review the second season of Big Little Lies. Originally we were going to, because we wrote about it for our blog, but all the issues that we were really tackling, they are not quite dealing with in a way that we find rich enough to have a discussion around. Yeah. So if you've got something that you really want us to dig into, a one-off on Netflix or on Hulu or something, or a series, it can be old, as long as it's available on streaming, we're open to discussions. This is your semi-annual reminder to watch Dairy Girls on Netflix.
Season 2 of Dairy Girls is on Netflix now. Watch it.
If you need some joy,
Series 1.
If you need some joy in your life after living through this nightmare, carve out 4 hours of your life and head to Derry, Northern Ireland in the 1990s. It is worth your time.
It is cracker. And if you have no idea what is happening in Northern Ireland in the 1990s,
we got a video for you.
We have a video on our YouTube channel, Dairy Girls Primer. If you haven't seen the show at all and you don't know the context of when it's taking place, take 10 minutes and watch that before you binge the show. We guarantee that it will help.
It'll make it richer. You can do it without it, but it'll make it richer.
It will help you understand kind of the subtext of what's happening, but it is some much needed joy.
Levity.
Particularly while we finish up The Handmaid's Tale next week.
In the meantime, y'all, we remain the good doctors.
Together for this video and not for the next. We send you all our love and compassion as you deal with this episode as well. Please let us know what you think. We'll see you for episode 13.
Thanks, guys, again.
Bye. Bye.